Talk about your own podcast. Well, first of all, let me back this thing up. We're not going to talk about your own podcast. I want to hear about how you started it and then where you're at now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I started it during the pandemic, like, needed something to do. And, I'm going into my 8th year in the NFL. So it's going to be time to transition at some point in time, especially, are you undrafted?
Undrafted, brother.
Yeah. So we understand this. So undrafted, you have to just understand that even the top players that, this is going to come to an end at one point in time and at some point in time. And I've been cut a couple times in my career, playing some really good football, and it just, it is what it is. And, there's the business aspect of it. So that has led me to understand and develop my business. My leadership and executive coaching business is what I'm getting into now. One of the best ways that you can reach people through social media, LinkedIn, is having a podcast, inviting on interesting guests and talking about whatever the topic is that you really want your audience to understand and know about. And, that's what I do in terms of my podcast and, me developing my business for who I want to be life after football.
Talk about some of the guests you've had on your podcast so far.
Draymond Green, Daniel Jones, Mark D'Antonio, former head coach of Michigan State, the COO of Camping World. I mean, I've had presidents, CEOs of different companies, and then also athletes. I mean, the athletes, that's the cool part for me because I know these people, but the most interesting people are the people who work in corporate, who are entrepreneurs. I just had Aaron Houghton on. This guy built a business in college at North Carolina. He built a business in his dorm room and 10 years later sold it for $168 million. So, those are the kind of guests that I have on my podcast, because to be successful in the corporate world and to understand that, you have to have a certain mentality and understanding. But to succeed in our world, there's only a few people who can do it. So I like to combine a little bit of what I hear from them and then also what I know from the league that we're in, because people want to know and hear from athletes all the time just because of the discipline that you have to have every single day. You can't be late to a meeting for Carolina. Your career could be over if you make that one mistake. So sharing stories like that with people on the podcast and them really understanding, like, all right, you guys just go in and you practice and lift weights. I was like, no, in my job longer than you are in your job. In that building from 7 a.m. You're not leaving until 4:30, 5 o'clock. You're studying when you get home. There's so many different things. So I like to bring different perspectives and unique points from the corporate end and also the sports world.
You're well read. You have your own book. We'll get into that. You're well respected, smart guy, graduated in economics at Michigan State, which is an awesome school and somewhere I highly consider. Talking to Coach D'Antoni coming out. But let's go back to your childhood. Let's go back to your family, right? I'm blessed. I have unbelievable parents that have set me up in life. I've played with a lot of guys that do not have that and overcome so freaking much to get where they are, and they're great fathers and great people. Talk about your parents, talk about your childhood and how they set you up for life.
Yeah, my parents set me up in a great way. That's one of the reasons why I called my book Silver Spoon, The Imperfect Guide to Success. I called it that because I am from the suburbs of Detroit, Michigan. I don't have the typical athlete story that you see on SportsCenter or all these, 30 for 30. I don't have that story where you have to overcome so much difficulty and, really shout out to those guys. But that's not the way I wanted to highlight my story because it wouldn't be true. But my parents set a great foundation in terms of, helping me understand the importance of discipline, hard work, surrounding yourself with the right people, handling adversity, handling success. They really laid that foundation, and they're just two of the most incredible people, that I'll ever come across. And I've been in locker rooms with you, and, we've met some awesome dudes. But like you said, the parents really laying the foundation, and for myself, and to help me understand the importance of education, the importance of not necessarily having a plan B, but being ready to adapt and pivot, when things do come up. Obviously I can talk about sudden change, that terminology. Sudden change happens every day in life, not just in sports and and on the football field, but sudden change. Are you ready for that sudden change? And a lot of that comes to education, but also the foundation your parents set and your guardians.
Yeah, I think It's great points you bring up. I think the one thing about your parents will set, and I was so fortunate to have, is like just the ability to listen and learn and be coachable. And not just obviously in football. And that's led me to some unbelievable places we're talking because of that. We have podcasts be able to cover that. People care what we say because of that. And we're just football players, right? So we're beyond that, but we've made ourselves beyond that. I truly believe. For me, I always thank my parents. I thank my fiance. I thank the people around me because they allow me to do it. But we've had so many talks over the years. Like you went to Michigan State, I started at Florida and then Temple. So many talks over the years. And when I speak to young kids, I always tell them, I said, be the first kid to listen to what some older person is telling you what to do. It's as simple as that. And if you listen and apply maybe half of it, when people apply 10% of it, you're just that much more advanced. What are your thoughts on all that?
I agree with it. I agree with it. And for the parents that are listening out here, there, and future parents, don't get frustrated when your kids aren't grasping everything that you're saying. They hear you. And I tell my parents that all the time. Like, I didn't necessarily put in all the actions that you guys wanted me to right then and there, but I heard you and it clicked in when it had to click in. And, you see my work as a player, and that comes from my parents and seeing them get up and seeing my dad take me to the plant at Ford Motor Company on a Saturday to see how the line was doing, the assembly line, or my mom leaving a corporate job as a lawyer to start her own practice. And that's one of the reasons why I'm an entrepreneur to this day. So you see that parents are laying the foundation and setting an example. And that's something that I try to do. I don't have kids right now, but that's just an example that I want to set. That's a legacy that I want to leave, is that when people mention my name, they're not going to mention any of the catches that I had. They're going to be like, man, that was just an awesome dude to be around. Like, he brought energy every single day. And, I think it just kind of hits home. I actually just got my invitation to Peyton's Hall of Fame thing in Canton. And I think it's one of the proudest emails I've ever received, that, hey, Peyton wants to invite you to his Hall of Fame induction and after party. And that means the world to me, because it wasn't about it. Yeah, it was about the Super Bowl, but it was more about the teammates and the camaraderie, because I didn't catch that many passes from him, but I got invited to that, so that means something to me.
So you said, when they mention my name, they won't mention any catches, but
yeah, I don't care about that.
There will be a big catch they're going to talk about. 2-point conversion in the Super Bowl from Peyton Manning. I mean, that's unbelievable, man. I scored my first touchdown, my first NFL catch on the same play this year, a 7-yard, little bluff run play. I just popped wide open on and scored. Unbelievable, right? Like a pinnacle of my career. But really, like I said, I'm accumulation of everybody who's supported me over the way. I truly firmly believe that. So, but I mean, they're going to remember your name for that. That's a part of Peyton's story. I mean, that's a part of another Super Bowl for one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback of all time. When people say, what's Peyton like? What are some of your experiences with Peyton? What are some of the first things you think of?
The first things I say, but the most incredible work I've ever seen. And I'm talking about attention to the detail, at the finest details. And obviously you've been around some good quarterbacks, great quarterbacks. I think every quarterback, whoever plays in the NFL, if you take one snap, if you throw one pass, you're incredible.
I'll tell you who one of my favorite ones of all time is, and we had him together in Denver, was Tyler Bray.
Yes.
Because he threw me the ball every time. I mean, I caught more passes in training camp in Chicago.
Yeah.
You and I may have. Yeah. And then I think because we're just a little older, than literally any time my entire life. Like literally the amount of times I've had a catch in my life, even with the friends, I've caught more in that training camp than I do ever. So Tyler Bray, shout out. He'll never listen to this, but if you do, Tyler, please come on. You got a fan and a friend of me, and we haven't talked in probably 3 years. So, but no, continue with Peyton. So you said just detail oriented and just, just
about detail oriented. I'll tell you a quick story. So Trevor Siemian came in my second year. That's the year we won the Super Bowl. Trevor came in.
This was 2015.
Yep. Trevor was, 7th round pick. And, Trevor's basically the reason why I made the team, that training camp. Because like you said, with Tyler Bray, I was getting all my reps with Trevor. Trevor was throwing me the ball every practice in every preseason game. And we lit it up together. But Trevor had to watch every single game on Monday, the TV copy of the game, to see what signals and code words were picked up on the TV copy, because Peyton was going to change them, or we're going to change the signal because other teams had them. That's attention to detail, to have the third string quarterback, do that, take the notes on it, and then study it and see, all right, we got to change the signal this week. They're on it. But then also use that signal to our advantage, because you'll see actually a play where we're playing Charles Woodson, and Peyton gives a smash signal. Everybody knows what the smash concept is. It's a hitch in a corner, but we had a corner post on it, and he gives the signal. Charles Woodson bites on it because he's so smart, and then Peyton makes that play, and it just shows I'll never play with anybody, and it's not a knock to anybody, but anybody who's just thinking that many steps ahead.
And you play with some really good ones. Obviously, you play with Drew Brees in New Orleans. So what's the biggest difference between those two? Because Drew's an all-time great. You're not saying he's not, but what's the biggest difference between those two?
Now, Drew's incredible. I think the biggest difference, Drew's accuracy is, you'll see him make some throws, and you'll just be like, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did it, because the back shoulder, or a cover two hole shot. Drew takes cover two hole shots like it's quick game.
Yep. Joe Brady talks about him in our meetings.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And he shows Drew throw it. I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. But it's also got a certain tempo on it, and it has a certain loft on it where it's perfect. So to paint the picture to everybody, a cover two hole shot, what Benny's saying is, if there's a go route and just a takeoff route, to speak layman's terms, and it's cover two, the corner doesn't let you get outside of them, but you have to get outside of them. Benny and I know what that term is, the old bus ticket route. Yep. So you got to run the bus ticket, or you're going to get shipped out of town if you don't get outside of it, because the cover two corner falls inside and can make the play, right, on any outbreaking route. So a lot, if you watch New Orleans, you watch what we do in Carolina, what they want to do is get the slot receiver one-on-one with whoever's going to guard them in the slot. Bottom line, could be a running back, could be whomever. But if you're going to throw a whole shot, the outside receiver, Benny, I'm not out there running it. And I've run a couple of them, but I'm definitely getting outside. I'll run down the sideline. So the whole shot is between the corner and the over the top safety, pretty much. And,
like, you have to have you got to have some oomph about you to throw that ball.
Yeah. And you got to be able to read it, and you got to be able to understand it. And they do. So the biggest difference. Okay. Now what makes Peyton, I'm not saying better than, so you think Peyton's what, a little more see the future, and maybe Drew's a more accurate thrower?
I can break it down to you like this. So I've played with Peyton, I played with Eli, I played with Tom, and I played with Drew. I played with, four, top 20 quarterbacks.
Yeah, you did play New England. Yes, you did. Wow.
So
hold on, let's back this up. Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning.
Eli Manning too.
Eli, who I played with Eli too, who was awesome, by the way. I love awesome. Eli.
Best storyteller out.
Yes, great stories. I sat with him breakfast and lunch every day. I tried to get at least one meal with him a day. Fantastic, and the nicest guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's one of the bros for sure.
Yeah.
So those four quarterbacks, I would say there's a difference. So Peyton has his own offense, does his own thing, checks everything. I only played with Tom Brady for a little bit. Most competitive guy, one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around. Incredible. He just has a pretty ball, the way he throws the ball. Eli, incredible improviser. Eli will throw a go route so quick. I mean, he'll check to a go route. Also, I was playing with, Odell. So, he was the guy. So I want to give a shout out to Eli I think Odell was the fastest person to 500 catches. He caught them all from Eli. So shout out to Eli and just his Hall of Fame career, and also beating Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl. And then, Drew's accuracy and his level of preparation is also up there with Peyton's. I didn't get a chance to really see Tom Brady's preparation like that. Our meetings weren't set up enough for me to see Eli's preparation. Obviously, I know Eli was prepared. He had to be to play.
He was unbelievable.
Years. But
yeah,
Drew, after a Saturday walkthrough, will start at the 1 yard line and go through the entire play script by himself, all the reads and all the checks. And that's how he can find. If you watch him play, He gets down to the check down is quicker than any other quarterback because he can tell what the defense is going to give him. Bam, 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 check down. It's honestly, I don't even know what to compare it to because I've never seen anything like it.
Who throws the best ball at all of them?
In terms of what?
I mean, you said Drew accuracy. I guess it's Drew.
Most catchable is Peyton.
Yeah, it's there and it's coming in softer. Yeah,
it's coming in soft. I mean, and his arm wasn't that strong, so
yeah, it was towards the end of his career.
Yeah, you could just see that. Look at Demaryius Thomas's stats when Peyton was a quarterback. He led the league in yards after catch. That's a testament to being led and making the ball catchable.
Okay, so there's that one. I want to go back to the Eli Manning subject. So, right, I'm from Philly. Everyone in Philly, knows that Eli's face when he plays is kind of just like checked out a little bit, like he's so dialed in. I said, I think honestly that's his dialed in face, because like when you talk to him and have an old conversation with him, he's just like you and I having this conversation. His face is lively. He's attentive, excuse me. But I'll never forget this. So I played the scout team linebacker for the ones, right? The 6th or 7th tight end I was at the time, the undrafted guy. To put in perspective of what time period this was, this is before we met in Chicago, the year before we met in Chicago. So this is 2017, and Evan Ingram was a first round pick tight end. I was the undrafted tight end. I caught 3 passes my senior year. Evan Ingram probably caught 400 of them. So I played the scout team tight end, and I got to see him go to work. Like our offense was the most audible, checked offense I've ever seen, like getting into the right play. Like literally we could call no play every single play and the right play is going to get called and checked. I thought it was really cool. It was so unique for me. It was, I wish I would have seen it in what I'm in now, 5 as a pro instead of year 1. Because I was drowning, even though I thought I was a smarter football player, I thought it was a lot.
I don't think I became what was you guys' record that year?
I got cut. I had emergency appendectomy after the first preseason game. And they said, hey, listen, 2 weeks, you're good. Came back in the next day or 2 days later after the appendectomy. They're like, listen, we're going to cut you. We're going to bring you back. And never was brought back. 8 weeks later, and 8 weeks into the season, Zach Miller goes down with the knee injury against New Orleans. I go in for the tight end workout in Chicago. And that's how I ended up with Chicago. I was 8 weeks with John Fox, practice squad. John got let go. Coach Nagy, you signed an off-season contract with the Bears. And that's how we met. Yeah. So, so that year, I think the Giants, I think they were below average that year, if I remember.
Didn't they go to the playoffs that year? 2004?
They could have. 2016.
It might have been bad.
2016. I'm going to Google it while you talk here.
Yeah, so I would say, as it's the fact that you were talking about, you thought you were a smart football player early on, and so did I. I don't think I became a legit football player in the NFL probably till I got to Chicago. So that was my going into my 5th year. Because it's too much to know. And you're seeing things are changing all the time until you get cut and have to go to different offenses. And then all right, like a lot of offenses are pretty similar. Once you've been around them, it's just what coach can call it and really what quarterback can perform the best. Quarterback is everything in the NFL. It's honestly.
Yeah, and you play with some unreal ones. Hold on, I typed the wrong Giants in. So 2016 they went 11-5. 2017 they finished 4th in the NFC East, and they went 3-13. Excuse me. So
that's the year Odell got hurt. That's the year that you left. Odell got hurt.
Yep. So Odell got hurt. That team was loaded though. Like defensively in practice was like. Sorry, what'd you say?
They had they signed Brandon Marshall. They had Sterling. He was young. Odell, decent running backs. I mean, Evan. They had a squad.
They had a squad. I'll tell you who impressed me was Brandon Marshall.
Really?
I mean, he's huge, and like I thought he was older and okay. Like I know he's had his battles at the field, and he's like a new man, and he's an awesome guy. He's got a killer career right now. Good for him. But an awesome guy. Like, and that didn't surprise me, but it surprised me how much he had left in the tank. Like he's running around out here, boop, boop, feet are banging around, cut here, cut there. He would gallop when he would run. Like, I'm like, man, he's going to have a great year. So sometimes you get cut from a team and you come back, and it was nice because I'm from Philly again. Like everyone's like, oh, what are the Giants like? I'm like, it was great. They were first class.
Right.
Like it was unbelievable. Like I'm a Giants fan for life now, like they took me at. I'm bummed I didn't get brought back, but I mean, hey man, you've been brought back to how many different teams now? So, that's a part of the business. But Brandon Marshall, Sterling Shepard really impressed me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a dude. He's a dude. And obviously like Danny Jones, a young quarterback, and I'm sure he'll have a great year this year in Sterling. But man, I was impressed by Sterling. Like he gets after it in the slot. He really does.
He's an incredible competitor. I think I just got to check him and Saquon 2 weeks ago out in Arizona, and Sterling is one of the most incredible people I've met in the NFL, and somebody that I will always have a great friendship and admiration for, just in terms of the way he works, like you said, and just who he is as a person. He's got that, great kid-like energy in terms of like he's always looking for a fun moment, a moment to dance, a moment to just hype anybody up. So yeah.
Yeah, I liked his toughness. I liked the way he competed one-on-ones. I mean, Janoris Jenkins and Odell would go at it. I'm like, yo, this is a different world right here. Janoris, I was the only person I could see playing with him.
Playing with who?
Odell, like in practice.
Yeah, I played with Janoris. Yeah, obviously in New York, but then also in New Orleans this year. Rabbit is quick. That's why they call him Rabbit.
That's why he's like literally like he was guessing routes. I was really impressed by him. There's a couple guys, but like I remember coming into the league and seeing Odell run routes, and like his feet didn't even move the grass. Like when I run, literally the turf is just getting. Yeah, he runs like a cheetah. Sorry, people right couldn't hear you, but Benny said he runs like a cheetah. Like literally, I would run and like the grass is like moving behind me. Odell was running and he literally didn't even imprint the cleat mark on the grass. I'm like, yo, this guy's on a different planet. And he came out to practice, Benny. The place would go crazy. We'd have 10,000 people at camp practice.
So people don't understand about Odell's obviously, you saw him, we all see him get criticism in the media and things like that, but people don't understand how famous he is. Or how
he's an A-list celebrity in New York. I had this argument. People are like, no. I'm like, he can't walk down the street in New York
at all. He can't walk down the street in Italy, especially when he had the blonde hair. He was a rock star. Yep. And he got a lot of flack for his temper on the sideline and this and that. You've never heard a teammate saying anything bad about him. People have to understand we've never seen a receiver that famous. I don't care what anybody says. He was 25, signed a $95 million deal, biggest Nike shoe contract. He's hanging out with people like Drake. He got invited to the Met Gala. NFL player Tom Brady gets invited to the Met Gala. Odell getting invited to the Met Gala, I think,
And Tom's invited because he's walking around with Giselle. Giselle's extreme. Yeah, and Giselle's extremely, successful in her own respect. So, yeah, I mean, he was that famous. I'll never forget it. He was like catching punts, and he would just catch the punt from the jug machine, and the place is going nuts. And then he would do a backflip, and the place would erupt. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And again, I was with some stars at Florida, and I got to see the Tebow stuff, and like, he was Tim Tebow of like Gainesville. Like, I heard stories about Tebow. It was like Tebow couldn't walk from the locker room to the practice facility. Like he couldn't walk. It was only 100 yards. He'd get mobbed. He couldn't even grocery shop. He couldn't go to class. It changed the whole world in Gainesville. So that was Odell. I mean,
I believe that. I believe that about Tim Tebow. They said Johnny Manziel, same way,
Yeah. Michigan State, though, while you were there, we'll segue there. Any stars? Deion Sims, my star while you're there. He's my guy. I love Deion, man. He always spoke so highly of you and like loved, like he would always sing your praises in the tight end room.
Yeah, Deion, that's my guy. We grew up together, though. Deion was my quarterback when we were little. That was my quarterback. So Deion was that same size in terms of his height. He was about 6'5" in 8th grade, but he was my quarterback. I mean, he could launch it, 60, 70 yards. We both went up to Michigan State together. And, both had, a fun time up there. Incredible guy. Kirk Cousins was one of my quarterbacks up at Michigan State, one of the most decorated quarterbacks to ever, put on a Spartan jersey. And then just how well he's done in terms of, being just a great player and just a great person and throughout the NFL. And the fact that he signed 2 fully guaranteed contracts is incredible. So shout out to Kirk Cousins and his agent, Le'Veon Bell, probably the best pro that I played with at Michigan State, and we all knew that he was going to be a pro. Springtime scrimmage, he came in early, and I mean, he had 2 touchdowns in the first scrimmage, and you could just tell the way he moved and was shifting in and out of it. It was unreal. And his time in Pittsburgh, he was the top running back in the league. I don't care what anybody says. It was just overall 1,000-yard. What Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara were doing, or what they're doing now, Le'Veon was doing that. And it's
unreal.
Just, that's what the best thing about the NFL is that, if you're not in that spotlight anymore, somebody else is going to take that spotlight. But, Le'Veon, the killer bees, Le'Veon was putting up, 900 receiving yards, 1,300 rushing yards. And just, he was making his patience and the way his running style was unreal.
That was a loaded team at Michigan State.
Loaded. Yeah. We had some good players. And then we had 2 first-round corners, Darquez Denard, Trains Waynes. They ended up being first-round picks. Yeah, we had some good people.
All right, so when I met you, and you'd always be wearing Golden State stuff, right? You know where this is going. Everybody asks you about this. Your boy is Draymond Green, right? Obviously, a extremely well-respected pro, a well-spoken, another well-educated guy that did all of 4 years at Michigan State. Was he a first rounder or second?
Second rounder.
So he's a second rounder. I thought he was a second rounder. He's a second round pick, which might as well be undrafted in the NBA.
Yep.
Right. And he goes and is a part of a rebuild of an organization that will go down the best runs. And, they're not done in NBA history. I mean, and he's a part of it, a key part of it. They wouldn't have done it without him. Mm-hmm. So talk about first time you met him, and then, maybe some funny stories over the years if you have time.
The first time we met, I think we went to an AAU tournament together. We played on the same AAU team. He's playing on 17 and under. I was playing on 16 and under. We had a mutual friend who would, Draymond would come down and stay at his place that I went to high school with, Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars' son, Jordan Dumars. So, he introduced us, and, we just became cool over there. I think we got really close, though. We were actually just talking about this last week when I was in San Francisco. We got really close during Michigan State. We lived in the same apartment complex. The football team, basketball team are always lifting in the summer together. I think I really knew that he was going to be a really good friend of mine when he would come to the football workouts to make sure, because he knew about my talent and my speed, to make sure that I was working hard, and ask the strength coaches, like, how's Benny doing in terms of, is he taking it easy in sprints, or is he just coasting, or is he actually putting in the work? And I was like, man, you have to care about somebody to do that. So, I think he was a really good friend. I mean, we've had so much fun over our pro careers, because this is year 9 for him, going into year 10. It'll be year 10 next year for him, year 8 for me. And just the fact that we've got to see each other grow as men and as players, evolve. We both won a championship in the same year, which is, you don't have that. You don't have that. A lot of people think that my friendship with Draymond has come throughout the pros. And I was like, I knew Draymond when he was 285 pounds, where people wouldn't even recognize him, or he, so, we've had so many great times, traveling over to Greece. I think we were traveling over to Greece, and we were out at this nice little club, and we got a chance to hang out with Marlon and Damon Wayans. I think that was one of the most incredible moments. Like, we're overseas, just enjoying vacation, and we run into the Wayans bros, and we grow up on their shows. After we won the Super Bowl, this is where he was really coming into his own. He hosted a party for me that night in San Francisco and introduces me to Lil Wayne. And this is like, these are just incredible things that you just never thought where life would go. So
these basketball guys, they know everybody, man. Us football players, like,
well, they're seen, they're seen. So, and Draymond gets a lot of respect from entertainers and celebrities because he's authentic. And I think that's one of the best things about his friendship and who he is as a person, is that regardless if you like him or hate him, you'll always respect him because he's speaking what's on his mind. And a lot of people wish they could do that. But a lot of people have imposter syndrome, or, even with some of the clients or people that, I'm might be working with in leadership, they're afraid to tell people what they really want to tell them. And that's one of the things that you can respect about Draymond and everything that he does. There's an authenticity to it. There's a truthfulness to it. And there's a look, you need to hear this. And if you have a problem with it, then you have a problem with it. But we're so sensitive as a world now that it's hard for people to say anything, but it doesn't stop him from saying anything.
It doesn't. I think another issue, right, and with some of the world stuff is like, oh, I have to align with that person to watch them or support them, or like, I'm not a political person. I'm trying to educate myself more so I could be more comfortable speaking about it. I really don't like speaking about it because I don't spend the time to educate. I'm not interested in it. I'll be honest with you. So not that he even talks about politics. He's talking about life. He's talking about, unbelievable movements that are happening in this country. And he's calling people out. I don't always agree with everything he says, but like you said, I respect his authenticity. I respect the man that goes on a mic and says, this is how it is. And this is how I feel. And that's okay. We live in this country, and that's what makes it an unbelievable place, because we can say and do that stuff. And he's respectful, I think, with all of it. I mean,
absolutely. So, and the best part about it is, after, Stephen A. or whoever might go at him, anybody, I'll call him and be like, hey, explain it to me. He does his homework. He's just not going to tweet about it or just come back. Even with the women's empowerment thing, women's equal pay thing that happened a couple weeks ago, people missed the whole point.
And I guarantee you, Ben,
yeah, Megan went.
It was a snippet. We didn't even see the whole video. I never even watched the whole video. I saw a piece of it, and I really haven't circled back and see it. And that's on me again. But continue what you were saying.
Yeah. So the soccer player Megan, I don't know how to say her last name, but she's incredible, and she just got Joe Biden to sign the Equal Pay Act. She went back at Draymond and said, you just showed your whole ass. I think that's what she said. You just showed your whole ass in terms of the comments that he made. So we talked about it. And he was like, she got mad at me. He was like, I want the same thing for her. But what I was speaking of was the WNBA basketball, because that's what I know about. I wasn't speaking on women's soccer. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
He only speaks on what he actually knows, has done his homework on. He does his homework before he says anything. And that's what people need to understand. The reason why he can go up there and share his opinion and he's articulate about what he's talking about, because he studies it and does his homework. But he doesn't speak on things. That's why he didn't even, I don't even know if he responded to her, because he was like, I want the same thing you want, but I don't know anything about women's soccer. I know about WNBA basketball. So that's what I'll talk about. But I don't think he came back out and said that. So I'll say it for him.
I love it. Hey man, that's what the podcast's for. Say what you want. We love having you on, Ben, really do. So you talk about leadership, you talk about some of the best leaders you've seen, and some coaching stuff you're doing, but explain what you're doing now, because I see all your stuff on Facebook, your videos you put out. I love it. It's again, you're educating yourself, you're putting yourself out there, you're helping others, you're showing who you are, the guy behind the helmet, it's coming out. And I love it. So talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah, I do executive and leadership coaching for small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I also do some leadership development within Fortune 500 organizations. And that's something that I got certified in during the pandemic last year, and also finishing the certification up after I got hurt this season. I got into this, I would say 2 years ago, and I was having a tough moment in terms of finishing. I didn't finish the season with the Giants. I got cut, and just questioning myself, like, they didn't tell me why I was getting cut. I was playing really good, so they were like, it's just one of those things. So you kind of question yourself, and I meet this guy by the name of JP, who's an executive coach. I didn't know anything about executive coach or even life coaching at the time, and he takes me through an initial discovery session, and he says, asked me who I was, and I was listing all the things I had accomplished, and he's like, no, but who are you? And then, couldn't really answer that question. So I'm, crying a little bit. And then he asked me, what do you really want to achieve? So I'm like, I want to make, $5-10 million a year for the rest of my life I want to sell this online course and help people reach their goals. And he was like, yeah, but what's that going to give you? Like, you can go make money anywhere. And, really got me really down deep into my core values and who I really wanted to be and what I was expressing. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I want to help people understand this, the importance of living within your values, living an authentic life, being truthful, but developing leaders and leaving a legacy. Because when you're serving other people, that's when you're giving back the most. And that's what led me to that. I went to the same coaching school he went to, and that's what I'm on the path to doing. I'm working with about 12 people one-on-one right now, and it'll only get bigger as when I'm done playing, because I'm kind of capped right now because season's getting ready to start in a couple months. But no, I love it. It's something I love doing.
Can you answer the question now? Who are you?
Yeah, I'm an authentic person. I'm a truthful, loving person. A person who believes in others. I'm a person who helps. I don't even want to say my life purpose statement that he helped me come up with, because I don't want to cuss too much on this. But
you could say what you want, Ben.
Okay. I'm a person who helps people say fuck it when it comes to achieving their dreams, and that's who I am, and that's who I've always been. But I just didn't know it, until I talked with him. But that's who I've always been in terms of, people who have left messages on my jerseys. I can tell I was always that type of person.
Yeah. I love it. I really do. I love the motto. I love the moxie that it comes with. People use the word, shoot your shot now. Just go do it, man. Just go do it. I'm not at your level, but a couple people have reached out to me over the years to help mentor and talk through it. I'm like, just go do it. Figure it out on the way. You're going to sit around and people are just passing you by. That's unbelievable, man, what you're doing. Talk about people signing jerseys. Honestly, when I made it in the league, that was like the favorite. I was looking forward to that so much. I really was. I love the respect between teammates and friends. And a lot of it, doesn't drive me to be a better football player. That's a separate thing that comes along with it. But it's one of the perks that I absolutely love is going to a guy after the game, telling them I respect their game, whether they know me from Adam or not. I watch a ton of film. I invest a ton of time into this job. And I respect good guys good players, because I know what it takes to get there, and to get to their level. I'm trying to figure out what it takes. But some jerseys over the years, what are some of your favorite jerseys you swapped over the years? How many do you have?
I got a lot. I got some of my favorite jerseys. I have Peyton's last ever home regular season jersey. Probably the only jersey ever signed, P Money. I got Drew Brees. I have Eli, Odell, Saquon, Sterling, Golden Tate, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders. All my Michigan State boys that I've played against: Darquez, Trey Waynes, Lawrence Thomas, Kirk Cousins. I have a lot. I have a lot.
I love it, man.
Into the Denver Broncos with Bradley Roby, Tony Lippett, Allen Robinson.
Dog, most underrated receiver in the league.
Yeah, we grew up together.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Deion, yeah. I mean, Allen's not anymore, but when I saw him his first year in Chicago and we were in camp together, I'm like, ooh.
He's always been like that, though.
Well, he's good. No, he's good in Jacksonville. I remember picking up in fantasy when I was in college. Like, this guy, they don't play on TV, but I'm taking him.
Yeah. So, yeah. Odell left me a really long message.
Did he? Can you share it?
I don't even remember what it says. I don't have any jerseys hung up in my house right now. We're getting ready to move and buy a house, but
that goes to show you, though, Odell, like that guy everybody sees on TV. And I found myself defending so many guys in this league, man. It's almost frustrating. Like, I know it's coming. I'm like,
I don't
here we go.
Anymore. If even with players that even when I go into an NFL locker room and they ask about Draymond or they don't agree with what he says, they always say that till they meet him.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I don't even if somebody has something to say about another player, or especially people outside of professional sports, I just be like, okay, well, what do you think? they'll ask me what I think. And I was like, I'm going to think that you don't know what you're talking about, or you don't know.
I
And
love it. Hey,
even people on TV, like they don't know what they're talking about. Literally
yeah,
have
a lot of smoke, man. A lot of I don't know, just it's not real. It's not, none of the stuff's real. Everything is dramatized more than the truth really is.
right.
Like, and I think I am a little bit more ignorance is bliss to it because I think I've lived an unreal life and being able to meet, if we're going to talk maybe more racial stuff, I grew up with parents who were not racist, not a bone in their body. Their parents were not racist, not a bone in their body. So I'm a fortunate suburban white kid that grew up with no black kids that was ecstatic to go to University of Florida where the locker room was probably 85% black. Or I go to the NFL and get to become buddies with Bennie Fowler and like Deion Sims is like one of my favorite teammates of all time. And Deion's silent, like literally he's the quietest guy I've ever played with, but I loved him. I loved him. I loved his game. Great guy. I'm happy he's in retirement, but like I've been lucky to have conversations with people that a lot of people wouldn't be able to have conversations with. And we've talked about this on here before. Like I genuinely am able to go up to a black man and say, "Hey, talk to me about this." Like not that I just don't know, you know, and I don't think people can have, or people are scared to do it, and B, have the forum. So I'm extremely blessed that I have it. We have it, you know.
Sports creates that though, and that's why one of the best things about sports, especially in times of controversy,
Yep.
and it shows that things can be done the right way. But sports forces you to do that. You need this other guy, especially on the football field, to block for you, or you're going to get hurt.
Or cut.
Yeah.
Because Colin, you can't make anybody miss. Tell me something I don't know.
So
Come on, Benny, throw a block for me, brother.
I got you. I got you. But yeah, I think that's one of the best things about the NFL, and is that it creates that environment, like especially during like training camp. Obviously, training camp, that's where you really learn people. You could really see people. You get people to go up and share some of their stories or why they're doing what they're doing. It's one of the best things Gary Kubiak did for the Broncos when I was playing for him. He let everybody on the team during training camp and during the season address the team or break the team down and tell them why they were playing football. That's why we won the Super Bowl. I learned more about my teammates ever in that situation right there. You see guys like a 13-year All-Pro DeMarcus Ware, why he was still playing. Never played in a playoff game. Had every accolade but that. And then Peyton gets up and shares a story. You see like a Wes Welker. When I played with Wes Welker, I couldn't believe that he was in the league. It doesn't make sense when you look at him. He can walk right by you. You wouldn't even know. This guy has 10,000 receiving yards. They talk about Julian Edelman making the Hall of Fame. Wes Welker better damn sure be in there too, because he got way more yards and stats.
Yeah. Wes will get in. Probably. And let's talk about the Julian thing as we wrap things up here, and then we'll talk about your book. I think he's a Hall of Famer, man. I don't know. I mean, I know no, you say no, and you're a wideout, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but talk about it.
No, I just think, well, I mean, Hall of Fame, what makes him Hall of Fame? It can't be his stats. It can't just go off of one catch.
He had some unbelievable Super Bowl, let me say this, unbelievable playoff runs for a very long time.
Yeah, but I mean, that goes back to, football being a team game. It's overall a team game. He also had one of the best quarterbacks of all time throwing it to him.
Okay. So maybe he's more of a New England Patriots Ring of Honor.
I mean, yeah, for sure. 100% he's in that. How many has he been to the Pro Bowl?
No.
You can't be a Hall of Famer then. You can't go to the Hall of Fame without going to the Pro Bowl.
Is Eli a Hall of Famer?
100%. He's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
I agree. I think he is.
And he's top 10 in all time in all the stats.
Yeah. I think he is. There's people make hard arguments that he's not. And I just think, hey, look.
I mean, they can go based off his record. I don't want to hear that though. Like,
I love it.
I mean, Eli did his thing. You can't pass for 55,000 yards and not make it into the Hall of Fame. But, in terms of receiver, Demaryius Thomas, did Julian Edelman have a better career than Demaryius?
No.
Has he? I'm just talking about the receivers that I've played with.
I guess it's more of a recency bias because we all know he's made unbelievable catches and been the man in the slot for Tom for 10 years. But if you're going to go like that, like Demaryius Thomas is not a Hall of Famer, but he's a great NFL receiver for a good period of time. I mean, him and Julian probably have similar careers. He probably has better numbers than Julian, but they have good careers.
Julian Edelman has 40 touchdowns in his career.
Demaryius?
90.
I was going to say 100. Yeah.
Julian Edelman tried with 6,000 something yards. Demaryius Thomas 9,000 yards. Emmanuel Sanders has better stats than Julian Edelman.
Emmanuel's a good underrated player too. And I mean, they're rated high. When I say underrated, I just say that, he's a number.
The big names, but I'm just saying, like, don't get me wrong. Julian Edelman's career was unbelievable. Some of his catches, I mean, his Super Bowl MVP performance against the Rams was unreal. I mean, he was basically the only person moving the chains.
Yeah.
But, let's just appreciate the great career he had. There's so many great players that who knows if Demaryius gets in. We know Broncos Hall of Fame or Ring of Fame. We know Emmanuel Broncos Ring of Fame, but we don't know that they're Hall of Famers. It's hard to do.
So you think Emmanuel is too in the ring?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And when he
really,
I mean, he played here for 6 years. He played in Denver for 6 years.
Yeah, he was in Pittsburgh before that, right?
He went to the Pro Bowl 3 times. He almost damn near won Super Bowl MVP if Vaughn didn't have. He was the leading receiver in the Super Bowl, man.
Unreal. So we talked a little bit about everything, but what I want to finish up is this Silver Spoon book. You talked to us what's about a little bit. What is something you learned about yourself writing that book?
Trust the process. Writing a book is harder than I thought it would be. Gotta trust the process. There's a lot of things that go into it. When it doesn't matter, I've probably sold over a couple thousand copies now, but even if only one person picked it up and got something out of it, then I made an impact. And to all the athletes out there, I think anybody out there, writing a book is a business card. It's not for sales, really. But it was for me I can go into an organization and speak. Oh, yeah, I'm an Amazon bestselling author. We talk about more than an athlete. You hear that saying a lot. But what does that really look like? LeBron and those guys have paved the way, but it's also LeBron James. But, for you guys, guys like us, undrafted guys, what does more than an athlete look like? It looks like podcasts. It looks like books. It looks like mentorship. We have to explain that more. So people ask me why I wrote the book. It wasn't to sell a lot. It was for me to go into an organization here in Denver. And, what do you speak on? I speak on mindset. I speak on handling adversity, but I also speak on, leadership and owning who you are. What proof do you have? Well, I played in the NFL. Yeah, we like athletes. Oh, I'm also a best-selling author. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, we would love to have you,
Imperfect Guide to Success, Silver Spoon book, and Imperfect Guide to Success. Check it out on Amazon. I'm sure you can buy it anywhere. All right, so here's what we'll do. So the first 5 people that comment, send us a tweet, whatever it is on the Bennie Fowler stuff that comes out, I'll personally buy the book. I will send it to Bennie. Bennie, will you sign it for him? And then I'll pay to ship it to wherever.
Yep, I'll do it.
Done. So the first 5 people comment on any of our social media, and Bennie will personally sign your book. Bennie Fowler, we appreciate you coming on, man. It was awesome catching up and just talking a little bit about everything.
Yes, sir, man.
Appreciate you, man.
It's just fun.